Shalom Aleichem. Welcome to the weekly Breslov research shir. This coming week is Devarim, Parshas Chazoin. It's called Shabbos Chazoin because we read the Haftorah from Yeshaya. It starts off Chazoin Yeshayahu ben Amos, the vision of Yeshaya. That's the Haftorah on Devarim. Devarim starts off Moshe Rabbeinu recounting some of the things that happened in the desert, some of the travels, making the golden calf, receiving the Torah, traveling around and whatnot. And Moshe Rabbeinu is telling this as a tochacha, as a rebuke, right? But the rebuke is in a way where it comes out with a flavor, with a favorable impression that all is not lost. We may have done something wrong, but we can rectify it. And that's how the Parsha really develops. Parsha develops that Moshe Rabbeinu was telling us about getting to the land, and then he blesses them with a tremendous blessing. Yosef Hashem, Yosef Alechem, Elef Pa'omim, Hashem should multiply you 1,000 times. Yivorech eschem kasher diba lachem, and he will bless you according to how he spoke to you. Rabbi Nachman in the Kuta Moran takes those last few words. Yivorech eschem kasher diba lachem, he will bless you as he spoke to you. He gives us a very deep insight into the pasuk. He tells us Hashem will bless us, kasher diber lochem, as your speech is. Kasher diber is your speech, lochem, to you, right? Rabbi Nachman is telling us, according to how our speech is, that's how we will receive blessing from Hashem. In other words, no slander, no lies, no profanity, no flattery. In other words, all the illegal speech, get rid of it. That's what Rabbi Nachman is teaching. According to how we keep our mouths clean and how we speak nice words, comforting words, encouraging words, words of Torah, words of tefillah, words of simcha, according to how we speak good, that's how much blessing we will be able to draw from Hashem. So that's how the Parsha starts off. Then the Parsha goes into telling us how we should really behave with our neighbors, and we should be careful, respect our neighbors, and how we should not be afraid of anybody. Lo suguru mipnei ish. Do not be afraid of anybody. Right? Why? Because mishpat levekimhu, Hashem has the justice. Now, we live in a world where everyone says there's no justice in the world. Frankly, I believe they're right. Because how can a human being know what real justice is? It is the law, and they will rule according to the law, but the law has nothing at all to do with the way a person feels. There's no emotion in the law. And we have to realize that people are filled with emotions. So we have to be careful not to judge anyone unfavorably. We have to always look for the good. We have to realize that ultimately it's Hashem who decides what happens. Now, we have ourselves problems. People go swimming, they drown. People go out to walk in the forest, they get lost. People go in the desert. It's beautiful. The actual desert, if you look at it, it's absolutely awe-inspiring, but it's dangerous. So we have to know how to judge favorably, look for good points. we have to always look, don't be afraid of anyone, right? We in Israel now, we have a number of problems. Problems outside, Iran, Hezbollah, Syria right now is quiet, but I don't trust it. Jordan, Yemen, Gaza, Gaza, right? So things aren't so settling. Don't be afraid. There's plenty of reason to be afraid, right? Worse than the outside is the inside. The fight between the left and the right, the fight between Torah and non-Torah, the fight against the Torah, and all the different things that are happening. This is worse than everything else. Still, we have to believe in Hashem, understand that Hashem has His ways. How He lets this happen? Well, how did He let the golden calf happen? And how did He let the exile happen? But He lets it happen. So there's problems. There are people who look for exile. There are people who look for trouble. And we have to judge everyone favorably, and we have to look to do our job. Whatever my job is, that's what I have to do. Okay, so that's the early parts of the Parsha. Then the Parsha starts talking about the Jews. It's the story of how they were left in the desert because of the spies, and how they ended up battling with Sichon and with Og, right? And then at the end of the Parsha, Hashem tells Yehoshua, Chazak ve'amatz, strengthen yourself. You will be the leader who brings the Jews into the land of Israel. Yehoshua was a tzaddik, and I will say now that Breslov research is now exploring the idea of bringing out Nach. My father-in-law, Rabbi Rosenfeld, gave many shiurim on Nach, and we're thinking of bringing out the Nach, the stories of Nach, of the Nevi'im and the Ksuvim, beginning with Yehoshua till the end of Ezra. So we're talking about doing things that bring out the prophecies and the ideas that the prophets were trying to convey to us. So, Be'ez Hashem, we look forward to doing it. But in the meantime, Moshe Rabbeinu tells Yehoshua, Chazak ve'amatz ki ato toviyah ta'oma, that you're going to bring the people to Israel, you're going to lead them, and that is the basic idea of the Parsha. Now, it's called Shabbos Chazon because the Haftarah starts off with Yeshaya's prophecy of what the Jews did wrong in his time, which is about 100 years prior to the destruction of the temple. And Yeshaya bemoans the things that we did wrong. Many different things that happened at the time. And Yeshaya says there's a way out. He ends up saying, Tzion b'mishpat tipoda, Zion will be redeemed with justice, if we do justice, which is not what's happening now in the land of Israel. Justice is not being done, right? V'shovel b'tzedakah, and it's those who return to it with charity. So we do have a hope of trying to adjudicate justice, and our way of doing it is to judge people favorably. That's our adjudication. And charity we can give. So this is the Haftarah of Chazon, the Haftarah of Devarim, that there is hope and we can rectify it. All we have to do is do it right. Now, Shabbos Chazon always precedes Tisha B'Av. Shabbos Chazon is always the Shabbos before Tisha B'Av. Sometimes it comes out on Tisha B'Av, sometimes the day before. This week it comes out on Thursday. But Shabbos Chazon is the precursor of the destruction of the temple. The Bnei Yisroel explains that why does it start off Chazon? Yeshaya was considered the greatest of all the later prophets. Why does it start off Chazon as a lower level of prophecy? Why does Yeshaya start off with Chazon, with a vision? Right? And the answer is because if Yeshaya said it as a prophecy, as an absolute prophecy, then there would have been a total destruction. But because it's still as a vision could change. So there's hope for us. That's one of the things. Following Shabbos Chazon, we have Tisha B'Av. Now Tisha B'Av, we all know, is the day of the destruction of the temple. It was the day that in Parshas Shlach Lecha, spies returned from Israel and they complained about the land, they ridiculed the land, they degraded the land, and because of that, Tisha B'Av was set as a date when there will be destruction. The first temple was destroyed, the second temple was destroyed, the walls were breached on Shavuos B'Tammuz, but they were completely destroyed on Tisha B'Av, and so on and so forth. So the temple was razed, and so on. So we have to realize that all these things are a punishment for what we did wrong. If there's any suffering, well, we did sins, and therefore there's suffering. But what's interesting about Tisha B'Av is the Medrash says that at the time of the destruction, Rabbanim were passing by a field where there was a person who was plowing his field with an ox, and at a certain time, the ox let out a very terrible moan. And an Arab was passing by, and he said, at this moment, the temple was destroyed. A few minutes later, another moan came out from the cow, from the ox. And the Arab said, Moshiach was just born. So that at the time of the destruction, Hashem already created the future salvation. So this future salvation is already here. We don't see it yet. We want to see it. We look forward to it. The idea of Tisha B'Av, the suffering, the mourning, sitting on the ground, fasting, all the things that we do on Tisha B'Av is all made to bring us to the realization that we suffered. And the end of the kinos, the end of the dirges that we say on Tisha B'Av all end with words of consolation. We have to realize that in the destruction, the salvation is built in. And that goes for every individual too. Every individual, if you're suffering from something, then know that there's a salvation built into your suffering. And that we have to look forward to Mashiach, we have to look forward to full salvation, to full redemption, and to Jews all over the world. We could see it happening. The fact that with all the troubles that go on in Eretz Yisrael today, all our suffering, right, we keep on growing. Right? I go around Yerushalayim and I see cranes everywhere. I see cranes in many cities in Israel. Why? Because Hashem promised to build Jerusalem. We see it's being built. We are fortunate in our generation to see the building of Yerushalayim. Right? 100 years ago, 50 years ago, you didn't see it. I was in yeshiva 60 years ago here, and there was almost no building going on in Yerushalayim. Today, the whole city is being built. Today, the whole country is being built. All this is to accommodate all the Jews that will be returning to Eretz Yisrael. And considering the situation in the world today, where we're being despised everywhere, in the States, England, France, Germany, Italy, wherever we are, we're being chased and pursued, right? It's always to bring us back to Eretz Yisrael. May Hashem help that we take this message to heart and we learn to set our sights on moving to Eretz Yisrael, living in Eretz Yisrael, and with that we will merit to see the coming of Mashiach, the building of the Beis Hamikdash, the Yameinu, Amen. We want to thank you all for watching these videos. We hope it's helped you, the ideas of Rabbi Nachman, Rabbi Nosson, and it will enhance your Shabbos. You'll have something extra to talk about. We hope you'll be able to share these ideas with other people too. And with that, we're going to see wonders upon wonders, how people's lives improve, and we have real reason to live, go forward with life, and to succeed in having a wonderful life. Amen.